Hey, welcome to Church History Snapshots. I changed the name of this little YouTube program. I just like the sound of it a little bit better. And it really conveys what I'm trying to do is I'm just giving you little snapshots, little tidbits of church history, things to think about, not getting into too much detail. Now, it's been a long time since I've done the last program. I thought I'd be doing this more, but I'll just do these every now and then. And in the last one, which I think I did like last summer, I said that in my next one, I would be talking about Constantine. And I still plan on doing that. And I think that's going to be a lengthy program, maybe a two-part, I don't know. But it'll be detailed and it'll be a longer one. And I've got this book that I want to address, and I want to take a couple things out of this too to discuss. So I am still planning on doing that, but today I wanted to cover something that I think I can cover in a fairly shorter amount of time, and something that's just been pressing on my heart. So the best way for me to do this and to not take much of your time is to just get into it. So here's the thing. You will hear something like this said. You may have heard something like this said, that before the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century and the 1500s, before Martin Luther and the reformers that came after him and the whole Protestant movement, 1517 is given it as the start date because that's when Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg, though the Reformation happened over time and a lot of developments there. It is often said that before the Reformation, there was only one church. And then after the Reformation, there were many churches. And this is a claim made by Roman Catholics that before the Reformation, the only church was the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church. Then after that, there were all these other ones, but were the original. But surprisingly, this is often accepted by Protestants, evangelicals. I've had conversation with Protestant Christians that just said, yeah, well, before the Reformation, everyone was Catholic, quote unquote, Roman Catholic. And I was born and raised Roman Catholic. And, because of that, I've studied this stuff. I mean, I didn't want to break away from the one true church. So I'm surprised at how that's just accepted. And I want to say, if you're watching, to my dear family and friends that are Roman Catholic, again, as always, I do this in love, and I'm just trying to get to the truth. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of things. There are a lot of issues, of course, and I'm not going to cover all of them in these videos, but I'm going to try to get to some of them. And I'm going to try to focus on one thing in each video to just give you something to think about. And in this video, I want to just say that claim that before the Reformation there was only the Roman Catholic Church is blatantly false. I mean, it is wrong on every level. It's just simply not true. Now, I do want to say that I understand that there are many Roman Catholic theologians, scholars, and priests that understand this and will be more nuanced and will be more specific when they talk about what they're saying. They'll acknowledge some of the things I'm saying to you today. But my concern is that the popular opinion and the certain Roman Catholic apologists and what they push leads people to simply believe, yeah, before the Reformation, there was only one church. Now, of course, I want to say this before I begin. Of course, there is only one church. I believe that as a Christian, but what is that one church? I don't believe the one church is confined to a specific denomination or tradition or communion. That being said, maybe we'll talk about that more later. And see, it's so easy to get off onto so many side trails. But in this video, I just want to simply prove from history, and you could check these things out, they're known, that claim that before the Reformation there was only the Roman Catholic Church is false. So here it is. Here's the evidence of why that's false. And again, by the way, I'm going a little bit of side trail, but I just got to say this real quick. we all have presuppositions. And I know that what I'm about to present, Rome is still going to have the view that they're the true church. You know, Rome would acknowledge these other communions, but they would say that, well, they are the true church, or the most faithful to the truth. In any church, whatever denomination or tradition is, if you have the presupposition that you're the true church, you can look at history that way, and that's another debate. I just want to simply give people some facts, and I hope my Roman Catholic friends can agree with me here that people need to know the whole picture. Then we can later debate with our theological conclusions and perspectives and presuppositions. But I just think people ought to know that there's a much bigger picture here, because a lot of people don't. Some of you listening do, but some of you don't. Okay, so here it is. The Reformation, let's say it started in 1517. Was that the beginning of church splits, of new denominations, new traditions, new communions within Christianity? No. Let's back up to 1054. What happened in 1054? The biggest church split in history, 500 years before the Reformation. It's called the Great Schism. It's when Eastern Christianity and Western Christianity split. The Western Church, the Roman Catholic Church, split with the Eastern Church, what we know is the Eastern Orthodox Church, or sometimes called the Greek Orthodox Church. This was called the Great Schism. Now let me explain it a little bit. I'm not going to get into all the details, but again, what's our main point here? That 500 years before the Protestant Reformation, East and West split. Eastern and Western Christianity split. That's huge. So we can't say that the Reformation is the beginning of church division. This is fact. Well, what were some of the reasons for this? Well, let me just explain. Again, not getting into all the details. 5 major patriarchs in the ancient church. Patriarch, by the way, means father. It's another word for pope. So when we say patriarch, we're basically saying pope. A patriarch was a bishop who had a great rule over a jurisdiction. And there were 5 major patriarchs. There was Rome, there was Antioch, there was Alexandria, there was Jerusalem, and there was Constantinople. Those were the 5 major sees of early Christendom. And long story short, there were a lot of reasons for this. Some theological concerns, there were some political concerns. Absolutely, there was a lot going on. We have to acknowledge that. But one of the things is that the Bishop of Rome felt that he had supreme authority over the entire church, even all the other patriarchs or popes. Now, the Bishop of Rome was highly respected. He was considered a first among equals by the other major patriarchs, but it was not believed that he had the absolute authority over them. So in 1054, this came to a head, and long story short, the Pope of Rome and the Pope of Constantinople excommunicated each other. And the Pope of Rome, the Bishop of Rome, was now separated from the other 4 patriarchs. And this is what is called the Great Schism. In Rome, Western Christianity will say that the other patriarchs went away from the seat of Peter, that the Pope of Rome is the successor to Peter. So those other patriarchs went away from Peter, and they went away from the authority of the church. The other patriarchs, Eastern Christianity, is going to say, wait a minute, we're all equals. We're all heirs of the apostles. The Pope of Rome went away from us. I mean, there's 4 communions, 4 Christian traditions here that are in communion with each other. It's Rome that's being schismatic. It's Rome that's separating itself. Now, the point of this video is not to settle that debate. Remember, going back to the main point. The main point is that there was a major division. And you had at least those 4 original communions. And of course, Eastern Orthodoxy has since added many more communions. I don't know the exact number right now, but you have the Russian Eastern Orthodox Church. You have the Ukrainian Eastern Orthodox churches. And all of the Eastern Orthodox churches, all of the different communions have a patriarch over their jurisdiction. And all of these patriarchs are in communion with each other, but not one of them is given the kind of authority that the Bishop of Rome is given in the West. But once East and West split, the Patriarch of Constantinople became the first among equals in the Eastern churches. So there was a big split there. So you have that big split, and you have the Roman Church in the West, and then you have the several communions or churches in the Eastern tradition. Okay, so the one church, the one Roman Catholic Church thing just simply isn't true, and it gets even deeper than that. There was actually another major split before the split with the East in 1054, and in 451 there was another divide in Christendom, and there was actually another division with churches in the East. Certain churches in the East divided from their fellow churches in the East and the churches in the West over the nature of Christ. And I'm not going to get into that whole debate right now. I do think that these churches that divided were wrong. They're called Asian Orthodox to distinguish them from the Eastern Orthodox. But the Eastern Orthodox and the Roman Catholics in the West would have been in agreement over this debate on the nature of Christ. And I think that they were right, that Christ is one person with two natures. The Coptics, the Asian Orthodox, sort of had a fused nature view, and I think they were wrong. But again, my point here is not to settle that debate. My point is to say in 451, now 1,000 years before the Reformation, there's yet another church split. And you have several communions within the Asian Orthodox communities. So you have the Asian Orthodox communities, you have the Eastern Orthodox communities, you have the Roman Catholic Church in the West. One church in the sense of one tradition? No, far from it. And, you know, what's even more interesting is the two of the most prominent Asian Orthodox. Of course, we may hear the Coptic Christians in Egypt, but then you have the Orthodox Church in Ethiopia, which is again an Asian Orthodox church. The main church, the national church in Ethiopia, is a Asian Orthodox church. It's in that tradition. You might have heard the Armenian Orthodox Church, also within the Asian Orthodox tradition. And the interesting thing about the Asian Orthodox, and again, they're far fewer in number than both Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic. A Roman Catholic obviously being the largest group. But Armenia is considered the first Christian nation, with Ethiopia being considered the second Christian nation, and these are both Asian Orthodox churches. So we're seeing that we've got the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the Armenian Orthodox Church, Coptic tradition. We have Alexandria, Antioch, Constantinople, and others in the Eastern Orthodox tradition. We're far from having a unified Roman Catholic Church for 1,500 years. And that's the main point I wanted to make, folks. These are just facts I want you to think about. You can analyze these, but we've only hit the tip of the iceberg. I haven't even gotten to the division within Rome itself, in the Avian papacy, where there was a time where there were three popes in the Roman Church. That's unity. I'm not even going to right now the different movements, such as the Donatists during the time of Augustine, who had an issue with the main church of that time, or the Waldensians later on, or the Lollards, or all the pre-Reformation movements. There was, remember, the split between Eastern and Western Christianity was in 1054. That's only 500 years before the Reformation in 1517. Don't think that there wasn't at that time within the Western Roman Church itself speaking out against its doctrines, speaking out against the papacy. I'm not even going to have time to get to my boy Girolamo Savonarola. I'm doing a lot of research on him now. But he is a man that spoke very strong, a priest that spoke very strongly in the papacy. He died 20 years before Luther. So there were movements even within Rome, even within the West. And we could say that the Reformation was an expression of movements and sentiments and, might I say, biblical convictions that were growing. Now, was every movement, can I say that every movement was biblical or right? Was there heresy? Of course there was. But my point is, at this point, to just say we are far from this myth of just one unified Roman Catholic Church. Of course, I believe there was one church before the Reformation. I believe there's one church now. I believe that the church transcends denomination and tradition. It's all those who have by faith have trusted the Lord Jesus as their Savior, have repented, have been baptized according to the way that it is commanded. And that transcends denomination. So of course there's one church, but what Rome is saying is that there was only, the way it comes across, and again, careful scholars will be more nuanced, I get that there was only one tradition. And that could be further within the truth. There was movements within the West itself. You had the three popes at one point, and then not to mention the different communions and the traditions in the Eastern Orthodox, 500 years before the Reformation, and the different traditions and communions in the Asian Orthodox about 1,000 years before the Reformation. Now, who was right, who was wrong, that's for another video, folks. But my point is there were several traditions, several different traditions and communions within Christendom long before Luther and long before the Reformation. Who was right, who was wrong, that's another video. But let me just say this at the end. Okay, Sam, so you've shown us that there were different traditions and communions long before the Reformation, but now we're discouraged because now you're showing us Christianity has always been divided. Look, here's the thing. You know, sometimes these splits happen for, sometimes they're geographical reasons, theological reasons, and yes, there are important issues that need to be discerned. And because of the sinfulness of the human heart and because of the enemy trying to divide the church, you're going to have those different traditions and those different communities. There's lots of reasons why. Sometimes there's going to be good reasons, bad reasons. Sometimes you just got different traditions rising up in different parts of the world and all that. I mean, there's a lot there. But I don't think that we see, Rome wants to say that unity is everyone submitting to the Bishop of Rome. But how is that unity when I can talk to one Roman Catholic that has liberal views and another one that has conservative views? That doesn't mean unity. Unity to me is when I go to the Shepherds Conference in California and I see a Southern Baptist like Al Mohler, and I see dispensationalists, leaky dispensationalists like John MacArthur, and a Presbyterian like R.C. Sproul, and a Presbyterian like Ligon Duncan, and so many other. Of course, there's other conferences too, Together for the Gospel, John Piper, and all these people coming from different traditions. And though they have their differences, they have unity in the faith. And what I can tell you is that for 2,000 years of church history, though there have been, I just want to end on an encouraging note, though there have been different groups in different traditions and splits, and sometimes for ugly reasons, sometimes for good reasons, Christ is still building his church. The church is still here. The gospel is still being spread. People are still being saved. And everyone that knows Jesus Christ, everyone that has come to him and is trusting him alone, is saved. And that's the unity. And you see Christians from different, I see a great, does the evangelical church today have its problems? Absolutely. But I see a great unity amongst evangelicals coming from different perspectives and coming together for the cause of Christ and his message. So it depends on how you look at how unity is. The church is here. The church is powerful. God is moving. But in this video, I just wanted to make the case and sort of just dispel that myth that before the Reformation, there was only the Roman Catholic tradition. That is just blatantly wrong. The facts bear that out. Now, we can debate, and, you know, we're all going to have our different presuppositions as come, but I think we just needed to clear the air on this a little bit. And I hope this is helpful. Again, it took me a little longer than I thought. I thought I'd be able to do this under 10 minutes. But I do hope this is helpful. Hey, leave a comment, like, disagree, just be kind. That's all I can say. But that's this little portion of Church History Snapshot. I hope to see you sooner rather than later. Thanks. Bye-bye.